If only beauty could define the person's heart, then Teacher Evelyn would have been a saint. Her skin was smooth like new yam, her lips soft and red, and her smile could melt the hardest soul. But behind that beautiful face was a secret that would one day shock the whole of St. Maria Nursery and Primary School in Lagos. Evelyn was the class teacher of Nursery 3 Yellow. Her class was always quiet and neat. Parents often said, Miss Evelyn must be a gift from heaven. Little did they know that their angel had the appetite of a demon. Every afternoon, when the lunch bell rang, the sweet scent of jollof rice, beans, plantain, and meat pies filled the classroom. The children, Franca, Vivian, Mercy, Priscilla, and others, would open their lunch boxes, ready to eat. But before any spoon touched a mouth, Evelyn would stand up and smile her bright teacher's smile. "Children, remember what I told you," she said every day in her soft but firm voice. "You must never eat until I check your food for germs. I don't want any of you to fall sick." The innocent children nodded quickly. To them, Evelyn was a hero, someone who cared for their health. One after the other, they brought their food to her table. And right before their wide, trusting eyes, she opened their lunch boxes and began to eat. She always started with Franca's meal because Franca's mother was a good cook who never spared pepper or meat. Then she would move to Vivian's food, fried rice and chicken drumstick, licking her fingers and nodding in fake concern. This one has plenty jams," Evelyn would say, swallowing another spoonful. "Don't worry, I'll clean it for you." By the time she was done, only crumbs were left. Then she would return the lunch boxes to the children and clap her hands cheerfully. "Eat now, my darlings. You are safe." The children, hungry and helpless, ate what was left. None of them dared to complain. Evelyn's eyes were sharp, and her voice could turn cold like a harmattan morning when she was angry. But one day, her greed pushed her too far. It started with Mercy. She was a small, gentle girl with bright eyes. Her mother owned a popular restaurant in Surulere, and Mercy's lunch was always delicious. One Friday afternoon, Mercy brought a plate of jollof rice with fried plantain and chicken. The smell alone could make someone confess their sins. Evelyn's stomach rumbled the moment she smelled it. During lunch break, she quickly locked the classroom door as usual. "Children, bring your food," she ordered. Mercy was the last to go forward. As she handed her lunchbox to Evelyn, her stomach growled loudly from hunger. Evelyn ignored her and began to eat. She didn't even stop to pretend to check for germs this time. She ate everything: rice, chicken, plantain, everything. When she finished, she wiped her mouth and returned the empty plate. "Here, Mercy, your food had too many germs today. I had to clean it all," she said with a fake smile. Mercy stared at her food box and blinked back tears. Hours later, she fainted on the school field. There was panic everywhere. Other teachers rushed to the scene. Children screamed. The head teacher, Mrs. Osagi, came running. Evelyn pretended to be shocked. "Oh my God, she fainted. Maybe she didn't eat her lunch." The school nurse checked Mercy and said softly, "This child is hungry. She has not eaten today." Evelyn quickly jumped in, her voice trembling with fake concern. She refused to eat, oh. I begged her to eat her food, but she said she wasn't hungry." Mercy's mother arrived minutes later. She was sweating and scared. Evelyn met her at the gate, smiling nervously. Madam, I'm so sorry, oh. Your daughter refused to eat her food. Maybe she's being stubborn. Mrs. Okoro apologized repeatedly, thanking Evelyn for her care. But that night, something bothered her. Her daughter was too quiet. She looked scared, as if something heavy was on her mind. Mercy, she said softly, what really happened in school today? Mercy hesitated, clutching her teddy bear. Mommy, I mistakenly poured my food away, she whispered. Her mother frowned. Are you sure? The nurse said you fainted because you didn't eat. Mercy nodded quickly, avoiding her mother's eyes. Her voice trembled. It was an accident. Mrs. Okoro noticed the fear in her eyes. Something was wrong. That night, she couldn't sleep. Her mother's heart told her that her daughter was hiding something. So the next morning, she decided to test something. She cooked plain beans and white rice, the one Mercy hated most in this world, and packed it neatly into her lunchbox. She also hid Mercy's favorite snacks, meat pie and chin-chin, in her bag, so she wouldn't go hungry if she refused the food. At school, Evelyn smiled as she collected the children's lunchboxes. Bring them, my babies. Let me check for germs. When she opened Mercy's flask, she frowned immediately. What is this again? She hissed. Rice and beans? Tell your mother that you must bring jollof rice next time. Mercy just nodded, watching as Evelyn devoured the food she hated most. Later that day, when Mercy got home, her mother asked, Did you eat your food today? Mercy smiled weakly. Yes, Mommy. Her mother looked at the empty flask in shock. You finished rice and beans? Yes, Mommy. The woman stared at her child in silence. Mercy hated rice and beans with all her heart, yet the flask was empty. It didn't make sense. Something was definitely wrong. That night, as the sound of generators hummed outside and Lagos lights flickered, Mrs. Okoro made up her mind she would find out what was going on in that classroom no matter what it took. The morning sun rose gently over Lagos as parents dropped their children at St. Maria Nursery and Primary School. The compound was filled with the sounds of laughter, chatter, and the smell of akara frying at the gate. But inside Evelyn's classroom, something darker was brewing. Evelyn walked into the class wearing her usual bright smile. Her red lipstick shimmered and her floral dress danced as she moved. To everyone, she was the perfect teacher, kind, disciplined, and beautiful. But deep down, Evelyn carried a secret hunger that no food could fill. Mercy sat quietly in her seat, clutching her lunchbox like it was a treasure chest. Her mother had packed jollof rice that morning, and Evelyn had already noticed it the moment she walked in. The smell of fried plantain teased Evelyn's nose, making her stomach rumble. She smiled and said, Children, after break time, remember we must check for germs. I don't want any of my babies falling sick, okay? Yes, Auntie Evelyn, the children chorused. Evelyn's eyes darted around the class, searching for the lunchboxes she liked most. Franca's mother always sent spicy rice. Vivian's food always came with soft chicken. Mercy's lunch was like a dream. She couldn't wait for break time. But she had no idea that someone was watching her too. Mrs. Okoro, Mercy's mother, had returned that morning pretending she forgot to sign a school form. Mercy's mother went to the head teacher's office and pleaded with her, saying, Madame, please, I would like to stay back and watch my daughter. She has been behaving strangely. I think something is wrong with her. Please, I want to find out what it is. The headmistress hesitated, but later agreed. You have to promise me that you will not distract the children. I won't, Ma. Thank you. Mercy's mother went to the class area, stood by the window of the class watching carefully. A yellow curtain covered the window, but she was looking through the small part that the curtain did not cover. Then, as usually, when it was break time, Evelyn asked the children to bring their food so she could check if there was germs. The children stood on a queue, submitting their food one by one. Evelyn ate all the children's food and asked them to eat the crumbs she remained. Mercy's mother froze, but she did not make a sound. Her eyes filled with tears. She wanted to go into the class to confront Evelyn, but she controlled herself and went to the headmistress's office. Madame, I just saw my daughter's teacher eat all of her food, including the food of other children in the class. What? The headmistress screamed. This is a serious allegation, you know. Madame, I saw her with my own eyes. If you doubt me, give me permission to prove it to you. I have a plan. Just allow me carry out my plan. Okay, said the headmistress. But please don't do anything that will hurt anyone. That next morning, Mercy's mother prepared another lunch, but this time she added a surprise. She mixed a harmless but bitter medicine into the food, a special herbal syrup for children that would make anyone who ate it vomit immediately if they took more than a spoon. Marcy, she said gently as she packed the lunch, don't eat your food until I tell you. If Auntie Evelyn asks for it, just give it to her, okay? Mercy nodded nervously. That morning, Evelyn walked into class still glowing with fake kindness. Good morning, my darlings, she sang. Today we will learn how to spell our names. But as always, she was only waiting for break time. When the bell finally rang, she locked the classroom door again. Children, bring your food. Let's check for germs. Franca went first. Evelyn took 2 spoons of her rice and smiled. Then she took from Vivian, then Priscilla. But when Mercy walked up with her food, Evelyn's heart leapt. The smell was rich, too rich to resist. My favorite. Jollof and fried chicken, she said, licking her lips. She opened the flask and began to eat. The children watched silently. No one dared to speak. Evelyn ate 1 spoon, then 2, then 3. But by the 4th, her face twisted strangely. She coughed once, then again. Her throat burned and her stomach began to twist like something was fighting inside her. What is this? She gasped, clutching her belly. The children panicked. Auntie, are you okay? Franca shouted. Evelyn stumbled to her chair, sweating. I'm fine, children, she whispered weakly. I just need water. She ran out of the classroom, leaving the children confused and frightened. Outside, the head teacher and Mrs. Okoro were waiting. They saw her rushing out, holding her stomach, her lips shaking. She ran straight to the staff toilet. Loud coughing followed. The head teacher looked at Mrs. Okoro, eyes wide. What did you put in that food? Nothing dangerous, Mrs. Okoro said quickly. Just something that would expose her greed. A few minutes later, Evelyn came out, pale and weak. She froze when she saw the head teacher and Mrs. Okoro standing by the door. Miss Evelyn, the head teacher said quietly, we need to talk. Inside the office, Evelyn tried to explain. Ma, I was only checking for germs. The children's food is sometimes— Stop lying, Mrs. Okoro shouted, slamming her hand on the table. You ate my daughter's food every day. You even told her to lie to me. You're a disgrace. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. Please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. The head teacher raised her hand. Enough. You'll face the school board tomorrow. This matter will not be hidden. Evelyn burst into tears, falling on her knees. Please, Ma, forgive me. I don't know what came over me. But forgiveness would not come that easily. The school had to protect its children. That night, Evelyn went home filled with shame. She could not sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the children's faces, their hungry eyes staring at her as she stole their food. She promised herself she would never do it again. But temptation, like a shadow, never leaves easily. The next day, a new student joined the class. Her name was Priscilla, a lively girl with bright eyes and a lunchbox that smelled like heaven. And the moment Evelyn saw her food, her old hunger returned. The morning sky was bright, but inside Evelyn's heart there was only darkness. She had spent the entire night thinking about what she had done. Her shame was heavy, so heavy that even her shadow seemed to walk slower behind her. When she arrived at St. Maria Nursery and Primary School, whispers filled the air. Teachers stared at her as she walked by. Some shook their heads in disappointment, others looked at her with pity. Even the security man at the gate greeted her coldly. She knew they had all heard the story. The head teacher had already reported her to the school board. That morning, Evelyn was to face a disciplinary meeting. But before the meeting began, she had to teach one last class, the new girl's first day. As she entered the classroom, the children went silent. Mercy looked at her with mixed feelings, fear and pity. Franca and Vivian whispered to each other. Only the new girl, Priscilla, smiled brightly. "Good morning, Auntie Evelyn," Priscilla said, her voice full of innocence. Evelyn forced a smile. "Good morning, my darling." She looked around the class. The smell of Priscilla's lunchbox filled the air. It was the same kind of jollof rice she loved, soft, moist, and peppery, the kind that made her heart weak. Evelyn tried to focus on teaching, but her eyes kept returning to the pink lunchbox on Priscilla's desk. Inside her mind, a battle raged. "Don't do it," her conscience whispered. "You promised to change." "But just one spoon," her greed replied. "No one will know." By break time, the smell became too strong to resist. "Children," Evelyn said in her softest voice, "remember our health rule. Bring your food here. I'll check for germs." The class hesitated. They remembered what had happened yesterday. Franca looked at Mercy, and Mercy shook her head slowly. Priscilla, not knowing what was going on, stood up happily and carried her lunchbox to the front. "Auntie, my mommy made rice and chicken. She said I should share it with you if you're hungry." Evelyn froze. Her hands trembled. The words, "if you're hungry," hit her like thunder. She wanted to refuse, but greed is a chain that doesn't break easily. "Thank you, my dear," she said quietly, taking the box. She opened it, and the aroma burst out like magic. Her mouth watered. Slowly, she took a spoon. Her eyes closed as she tasted the first bite. But before she could swallow, the door burst open. Standing there was the head teacher, Mrs. Osagi, with two board members and Mrs. Okoro. The whole room went silent. Evelyn's hand froze mid-air. The spoon dropped. "Miss Evelyn," the head teacher said in a cold, firm voice, "we warned you yesterday. Yet here you are again." The children gasped. Franca covered her mouth. Mercy held Priscilla's hand. Ma, please," Evelyn stammered. "She offered me the food herself. I didn't take it by force." "That's not the point," one of the board members interrupted. "You were not supposed to touch any child's meal again after what happened. You broke the rule." Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I have been going through so much. My husband left me. I hardly have money for food. I didn't mean to hurt anyone." The head teacher's expression softened a little, but she still said firmly, "Even in hunger, Miss Evelyn, you must have self-control. You were trusted with these children. You betrayed that trust." Evelyn fell to her knees crying. "Please, Ma, forgive me. Don't sack me. I'll change. I swear I'll change." The children watched silently. Mercy began to cry too. "Auntie Evelyn, don't cry," she said softly. "Just don't eat our food again." The head teacher sighed deeply. "Miss Evelyn, the school board has decided to suspend you indefinitely. You may return only if you complete a rehabilitation program and provide proof of good conduct. You're lucky we're not calling the police." Evelyn wept uncontrollably as she packed her bag. The children watched her walk out of the class for the last time. Some felt pity, others felt justice had been done. Outside the school gate, Evelyn paused and looked back. The laughter of the children floated through the air. She realized how much she had lost, not just her job, but their trust, their love, and her own dignity. She went home that day with a heavy heart. Days turned into weeks. No one visited her. Hunger followed her like a ghost. She tried to get another teaching job, but her story had already spread across many schools. No one wanted the greedy teacher. One evening, while walking past a church, she heard a choir singing. The sound touched something deep inside her. For the first time, she entered the church. She sat at the back, crying quietly as the pastor spoke about forgiveness and repentance. That night, Evelyn kneeled before God and begged for mercy. "Lord, please help me," she prayed. "Take away this greed. Give me a second chance." Weeks later, a miracle happened. A charity organization run by the same church offered her a small job teaching underprivileged children for free meals. The pay was little, but the peace was plenty. The children were poor, but they shared their food with her willingly. For the first time, Evelyn ate without guilt. She smiled again, not because she had plenty, but because her heart was finally clean. And from that day, she made a promise. Never again will greed rule my life. She told her new pupils, "Children, always be content with what you have. When you take what's not yours, you lose what is truly meant for you." The children clapped and hugged her. Evelyn felt something warm fill her heart, something she hadn't felt in years. It was peace. And so ended the story of Evelyn, the greedy teacher. She learned that greed might fill your stomach for a moment, but it will always empty your soul in the end. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I drop another powerful story.